Let's talk about shore excursions and tours and who you book them through. So, whether that's the cruise line or whether that's a third party company like Viator or Get Your Guide. Um, there's a lot of different factors that go into selecting the correct shore excursion and from whom you book from. Um, so, I've made some mistakes in the past, and I want to make sure that I share the information that I've learned with you all so that way you don't make the same mistakes that I have definitely made. So first off, let's talk about cost. All right. If you have sailed on a Mediterranean cruise here recently, you know the costs are wild for shore excursions through the cruise line. I saw plenty of shore excursions for 200, 300, 400, even up to 1,000 US dollars per person. Okay, if you are lucky enough to be in a position where that doesn't bother you and you don't bat an eye and you're like, yeah, I'll book the $1,000 per person excursion, I don't care, then cool. Just completely ignore the next 2 minutes of what I'm about to say. But if you're not in that situation, one of the greatest benefits about booking on a third party site like again, Get Your Guide or Viator is the fact that they're generally cheaper. So there is what I like to call a convenience fee associated with booking through the cruise line. Um, that doesn't really exist on these third party websites. So if you are incredibly cost conscientious and you want to have the cheapest vacation possible while still having a great time, third party might be the way that you go. Now, with that comes some trade offs, though. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is getting back to the ship, leaving the ship, those types of things. If you book through the cruise line, you are guaranteed all of your things. So if the tour gets canceled, you get your money back. If your tour runs into traffic and you're 45 minutes late returning to the ship, they will wait on you. There is a certain level of security that you have when you book through the cruise line, and that can be worth a lot. So, when you're thinking about cost, you do need to think about the cost potentially associated with, uh-oh, if I do get stuck in the city center and it's time to go, I may have to pay for a taxi or a train if I'm further away. So there are some costs that aren't necessarily very obvious that could be associated with a third party tour. And there's definitely value to be placed on the security that you get when you do book through the cruise line. Now, the other thing that is something to consider is just the quality of the tours. So you can read reviews all day long on these third party websites, but the quality can vary. Let's be honest. When it comes to shore excursions through the cruise line, however, they vet those tours very rigorously, and in some cases, they spot check them. So if you're ever on a shore excursion from the cruise line and you see a cruise line staff member with you, that is probably someone from the shops or maybe an actor or a dancer or an entertainer, someone who had that morning or that day free, and they actually joined that tour in order to spot check that tour. So they will report back to the cruise line, hey, this tour was great, keep it on your list, or no, this tour was terrible, remove it from your list immediately. So not only do they vet the tours from the beginning, but they also do spot checks very regularly to ensure that the tour quality is still pretty high. You're not going to get that type of quality checks if you are just going rogue and booking through a third party. So that is something to consider. So if you are worried about quality, you may just want to book through the cruise line. But if you're willing to risk it and you've read all the reviews from the third party site and they all look great, then yeah, do it. The one thing I want to caution people on when it comes to the third party tours are pickup issues. So, for example, we were docking in Palma last week. So we were in Mallorca, and I had booked a third party tour, and the pickup location was literally at the port. or so it said. What I didn't know is that because the ship we were on was too big, we actually couldn't dock at that port. We had to dock at another port about 2 miles away. So when I booked that tour, I thought this was going to be easy peasy. I thought we were going to get off the boat, walk a couple of feet or maybe a couple of yards down the port, and there would be our pickup point. What ended up happening though is that we were so far away, we actually had to leave the boat super early, catch a taxi, which cost us 40 euros one way, and then go to the meeting point. And unfortunately, the meeting point was in the middle of the sun and there was no shade and it was very hot and it was miserable. Um, so pay attention to that pickup point. Um, it's oftentimes tricky. It's sometimes hard to find out exactly where your ship is going to dock. So if you do have any questions, my recommendation is just to call the cruise line and ask them specifically for the address. Where is this ship going to dock on this day at this port? They can give you a better idea so you don't make the silly mistakes like I did, booking a tour that started all the way across the city and then you have to get to that city or you have to get to that pickup point across the city. Um, so those are some of the things that I like to consider when it comes to who I'm going to book through. Cost, just your overall security and comfort level with the risks associated with booking, from a third party. Quality potentially being iffy if you book through a third party, and then occasionally finding yourself in situations where your pickup point is difficult to get to. Now, I will say, all of this considered, my rule of thumb is to always book through the cruise line if it's my first time at a port. That's my carte blanche rule of thumb. If I do not know the area, I'm booking through the cruise line because I want to become more comfortable before I trust the third party tour companies. And I want to be able to know more so I can trust myself and trust my decisions that I end up making regarding any tours I may book outside of the cruise line. So yeah, my rule of thumb, I absolutely, every single time it's my first time at a port, will book through the cruise line. If it's crazy expensive, that is what it is. I'll just accept that cost, put it into my budget. And then the next time I go, if I'm, comfortable with the port and I think it's, safe, I will go ahead and try, a third party site. Because again, that does tend to be cheaper. Oftentimes the meeting points are close or close enough to the ship that it makes it okay. And yeah, so far so good. Out of all the third party tours that I have booked, I've been very pleased, very happy, and I haven't been late to the ship yet with a third party tour. However, my tours have been late to the ship when I booked through the cruise line. So, a little interesting paradox there. But yeah, that's my rule of thumb. Those are the things that I think about when I'm deciding where to book. Now, if you were to ask me, Megan, what is your favorite third party site to use? It's got to be Get Your Guide. I have had so much success with Get Your Guide. The tours are great. The prices are, very reasonable, and I would recommend them to anyone. My second favorite is going to be Viator, but Get Your Guide is really the one that I go to first, and that seems to be a lot of the sentiments out there as well on a lot of the tours that we end up going on. Most of the people are booking through Get Your Guide. This is not sponsored by them at all. I wish it was. If they want to give me money, I'll take it. But that's just my personal preference. Different things work for different people, though, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, if you have any questions about booking through a third party or, the risks associated with doing so, drop a comment. Happy to chat more if anybody has any questions or if I missed something.